Ну ладно. Oui. Voilà, c'est. Voilà, c'est. Gabi. Давай же бежу.
Нормально. Пупсик. Не знаю, вроде как распад. Человека. Нет личности живой. Ладно, все скажи.
It's actually more closely related to the sound of I than it is. The U umlaut is pronounced in a similar way to the O with an umlaut. Start with the long U sound, U. Then add an E to the end of it, E. Or you can start with your mouth in the position for the long U and push your tongue to the edge of your teeth. It's actually more closely related to the sound of I than it is to the U. Über, drücken, grün. In the odd case that the letter Y shows up in a German word, you need to pronounce it like the U umlaut. So for example, typisch, Gymnasium, tip. If it's at the beginning or the end of a word, it will be pronounced like the English sounding Y. So for example, typisch, drücken, grün. In the odd case that the letter Y shows up in a German word, you need to pronounce it like the U umlaut. So for example, typisch, Gymnasium, tip. If it's at the beginning or the end of a word, it will be pronounced like the English sounding Y. Baby, yak, party. The letter B is mostly pronounced as it is in English. At the beginning or the middle of the word, it is pronounced B. For example, beginnen, Bär, geben, graben. When it is the last letter of the word or it is before the letter S, it sounds more like a P. For example, Dieb, gelb, lebst, gibst. Keep in mind that prefixes such as AB or ab sound more like the letter P because it's at the end of the prefix, even though it isn't the end of the entire word. Abbiegen. The letter C is almost always combined with something else. If it is followed by a consonant or a vowel sound that comes from the back of your mouth, it sounds like a K, as it does in English. Kaffee, Clown, Currywurst. This is the same sound used when the C is combined with a K. This sounds exactly like it does in English. Backen, Flecken, Bock. When the letter C is followed by a vowel sound that is made with the front of the mouth, it takes on the sound similar to the TS sound or the German Z. Circus, circa, cent. The letter front of the mouth, it takes on the sound similar to the TS sound or the German Z. Circus, circa, cent. The letter D follows a similar pattern to the letter B. By this I mean that it sounds exactly like the English pronunciation in the front of the word or in the middle. For instance, doch, das, werden, wieder. If it is placed at the end of a word, it takes on the pronunciations more similar to the letter T. Tod, Wand, Schild. There is absolutely nothing special about the letter F. It is always pronounced the same as it is in English. For example, fish, Französisch, Neffe, Schiff. If the letter G is at the beginning or the middle of a word, it sounds exactly as it does in English. This includes the combination of N and G. For example, Gott, Grillen, Eng, Bringen, Regenbogen. If the letter G is at the end of a word, it sounds more like the letter K. For example, Tag, Krieg, Flugzeug. Notice that the word Flugzeug has two of these sounds because the first G is at the end of the first word in the compound. Flugzeug. The combination of I and G is very confusing to some German learners because there doesn't seem to be any consistency in the pronunciation. It took me forever to figure it out. If the letters I and G are at the end of a word or before a consonant, they make the sound like the pronunciation of ich. It is also acceptable to say it as ich, but the soft variant is more common, which is how I will say it in these examples. König, Ewigkeit, witzig, 50. It is also acceptable to say König, Ewigkeit, witzig, 50. Be careful with this rule though, there are a few exceptions. For instance, Signal. When IG, there are a few exceptions. For instance, Signal. When IG is before a vowel, it is pronounced as it would be in the middle of a word. For instance, Heilige, Igel. The letter G can also, for instance, Heilige, Igel. The letter G can also sound French, Heilige, Igel. The letter G can also sound French when it's used in a word that has French origin. This may be the most difficult category to identify, as I personally don't know which words come from the French. In fact, some of the words that are on my example list, I had no idea they were French until I started researching this video. Garage, orange, ingénieur. You've already seen the letter H as it's used to elongate a vowel sound. For instance, ja, sehen, gehen. In those words, the letter H is silent and only functions to change the vowel. When H is pronounced, it is pronounced the same as it is in English. Held, Gesundheit, heute. J is almost Gesundheit, heute. J is almost always pronounced as Y. It sounds more like the English Y than it does the letter J in English. For instance, ja, jetzt, Jacke, Mayonnaise. The increasing Jacke, Mayonnaise. The increasing number of imported English words have made it so that there are also more and more German words that are pronounced as English with German accents. For instance, Job, jeans, Jeep. French words that include the J are pronounced as the French would pronounce them, which is slightly different from the English J sound. The pronunciation of these J's are actually a combination of the two letters D and J. For instance, journalist, jargon. A K is a K no matter if it's in German or English, if it's combined with other consonants, if it's before a vowel, if it's the end of a word, the middle of a word, or anywhere else, it's always going to be pronounced K. For example, Sekunde, können, klein, krank, lecker. L is pretty straightforward as well. It sounds just like it does in English. Lüge, liegen, heilen, Teil, wild. M sounds like M. Mond, Schimmel, atmen, Heim. N always sounds the same as it does in English, and this includes when it's combined with the G. Lang, hängen, Wein, fahren, danken. P, Wein, fahren, danken. P is straightforward as well because it's the same as in English. Post, springen, Gruppe, kaputt. Tip. Q is confusing because it sounds like K and V together or K and W in German. It is also combined with the letter U every single time. For instance, quiz, Quittung, bequem. And now for the most complicated one on the list, the letter R. Other YouTubers have dedicated entire videos to this letter. I'm going to try and break it down a little bit shorter in this video. There are two basic sounds that the R can make, and in the end they are both going to come from the back of your throat. The one that sometimes gives the German a stereotype of being a rough language is the consonant R, also known as the guttural R or the rolled R. R. It doesn't have to be Rammstein. It could be Rammstein. If you're trying to replicate this sound, start by clearing your throat. Then elongate that sound. Then add a little bit of your voice behind that. Some people equate it to a softer version of gargling with some voice behind it. You're really trying to get the bass.
Разряд, что ты сказать-то не можешь по-русски, да нормально не можешь
Then
говорить.
make it vibrate a little bit. And then add some voice